everyone, I'm Walker and welcome back to All About Nails, where we talk about vegan and cruelty-free nail polish. I am really excited to be sharing Zoya's summer collection with you for 2019. This is the Barefoot collection. This collection has 12 pieces and it is available May 6th on Zoya's website. There is a pre-order box deal going on right now that I will link in the description box down below. Awesome. If you are new to my channel or new to one of my Zoya collection reviews, I will actually do two videos. This first one is just my live swatch and review to give you some kind of in-depth looks at each of the polishes and how they apply and their swatches. And then I will do a second video, which I will link up here once it is done. And that video will be an in-depth color comparison to kind of show you how all of these shades fit into Zoya's collection. Awesome. Let's dive in and look at these polishes, and then I will see you back at the end for my favorites. First up we have Joey, and Joey is described by Zoya as a lovely, warm, light pink cream, which feels pretty accurate. I would say that's what this is. This one is definitely going to go on in this first coat a little bit on the sheer side, but not, you know, too crazy. It's a little bit streaky, but pretty even, like it levels out really well. I think this color is really nice and somewhat surprising that Zoya didn't already have one like this in their collection, in my opinion, but it is a really pretty just kind of like soft pastel pink neutral. This one does definitely have a better formula than Dot, which I think is meant to be a little bit more sheer than this one is, so it's not totally fair to compare them, but this one, although it is pretty streaky on this first coat, you know, it is really easy to apply. It's not kind of hard to level out. It levels okay. This is not one that I think you will probably wear in one coat. As you can see, I do have those streaks, but in a second coat, I do feel like it builds up almost to opacity. Like I think if you were super close, or maybe if you used the wide brush on this one, you might be able to totally even this out in a second coat. I did decide that I have just kind of some, you know, like bald patches here that are not perfect. Honestly, if I was just like wearing this to work, I might stop at 2 coats and not worry too much about it. But I do think, you know, to give you a true representation of what this looks like in complete full coverage, you probably do need that third coat. I would be curious to try this one with the wide brush like I mentioned and just kind of see if it makes it a little bit easier to get this all the way to full coverage. But we're going to look at this third coat and you will see that it just brings it up to this really soft, lovely, super gorgeous soft pink. I really like this one. I think it's really easy to wear and I feel like it will be flattering on a ton of skin tones. And like I said, I'm kind of surprised this is one that Zoya didn't already have in their collection, but I think it's a really great addition to their collection now. And so you are looking at 3 coats of Joey. Tessa is up next, and Zoya describes this one as a soft peach-toned salmon with a warm gold and coral micro shimmer running throughout. And in this one, I do feel like you get a lot of that shimmer on the nail, which I think I was surprised by, honestly, given what this one looked like in the bottle. You can see that shimmer, but it looks really fine. It looks really kind of, you know, just hidden in the base. But I do feel like even in this first coat, which is, you know, a little bit thinner and not quite as opaque and rich in color, you can really see that shimmer. And so I was really curious to see how that shimmer built up in this polish. I think this color is really lovely. Like the shimmer is a really nice combination with the base. This kind of peach color is not one that I find super flattering on my skin tone, although when I posted my swatch on Instagram, several people said they thought I was crazy, it looks great, but I don't know, something about it just doesn't quite feel like me. And so as you saw, that first coat on Tessa was a little bit, you know, sheer, but it was actually really even coverage. It was really kind of smooth. There weren't a ton of streaks, and you also don't get any brush strokes in this one. And so this second coat really just brings it all the way up to opacity. I did not find that I needed to do a third coat with this one, which surprised me, but I feel like that base is, you know, really opaque and yet still lets that shimmer shine through. So you are looking at 2 coats of Tessa. KEIRA is the next kind of neutral polish in this collection, and it is described by Zoya as a medium sandy taupe with a light copper shimmer running throughout. And I think just like in the last one, in the bottle here, you can really see that shimmer, and I was really curious to see how that shimmer kind of showed up on the nails, how apparent it was. In the bottle, I didn't think I was gonna like this one very much, to be honest, but I found that it had a very similar formula to Tessa, where, you know, the first coat was a little bit sheer. You could see the shimmer, you could see the base color, but it wasn't quite at opacity. But I think that it's really easy to work with. It levels out really evenly. You don't get a lot of brush strokes in this one. And so I think that first coat being so smooth really makes it so that the second coat builds up all the way to opacity. And then it does kind of reach that deep taupey color that you see in the bottle. I think it's very close to what you see in the bottle. And I also think you see just as much shimmer as you think you're going to when you look at this in the bottle. And so I really saw that kind of coppery shimmer. And I actually like this one a lot more than I thought I would. It looks a lot almost softer on the nails. I feel like the base and the shimmer really meld together. In the bottle, I kind of thought that they clashed a little bit, but I really like this one on the nails. I think it'll be really nice, you know, in the summer as kind of a sparkly sandy nude. And I feel like this one will look really nice on lots of different skin tones, not just on my skin tone. And so I'm really excited to start seeing swatches of this one come in. And you are looking at 2 coats of KEIRA. All right, next we get a little bit brighter. Just kidding, we get a lot brighter. This is Marcy, and Zoya describes Marcy as a shimmering, bright, hot coral. This one to me looks very red. I don't know, to be honest, that I see that much coral in here, but I really like this fiery color. The first coat on this one is kind of similar to the last 2 shimmers that we looked at. It's a little bit sheer on the first coat, but you actually do get a lot of that shimmer and also a lot of the base color, and so I think it's, you know, a really easy to apply polish. It doesn't kind of like run or pool around the sides, which is really nice. I find that sometimes shimmers, just because they're a little bit thinner so that you can see that shimmer, they do sometimes tend to pool, but I did not have that issue with this one. Marcy does have a little bit more of a kind of apparent brush stroke on the nail. I do think that it's not that bad. I honestly don't see it too much, but it is a little bit more apparent than the last ones that we looked at, so I just want to call that out. And so this first coat of Marcy, as I mentioned, is a little bit, you know, sheer. You can kind of see my nail line, especially on my nails that have a little bit of a whiter nail line right now. And so I am definitely going to do 2 coats and potentially even a 3rd coat. The second coat does definitely deepen the base a little bit, and I don't think it really hides that shimmer anymore. You still see a lot of that kind of fiery orange shimmer, which is just so perfect for the summer. And so I'm gonna kind of look very closely at this and decide whether or not I think I need to do a 3rd coat. I see like a very faint hint of a nail line on my ring finger. So you are just looking at 2 coats of Marcy. All right, up next is LIZA, and Zoya describes LIZA as a rich cardinal red cream. And this one, I think I had a really hard time capturing on camera. It is a little bit almost like dustier or more kind of muted than it looks in my swatch photo. I think probably what it looks like under the swatching lights is much closer to accuracy, and there's not a huge difference between them, but there is kind of this like dusty quality that I don't think I was able to capture in my swatch photo. I don't know, something about the lighting I was using just made it a little difficult, but this is the only one in this collection that I really had a hard time capturing the color. I felt like the others were fairly easy to get on camera. This one has a just absolutely delicious formula. This first coat is almost opaque, but it is a little bit lighter than what's in the bottle, and so I'm definitely going to do a second coat to just give it a little bit of evening out, and then also see if we can get a little bit closer to the kind of depth and richness that we see in the bottle. And so when I come in for this second coat, you can see that of course the first coat was pretty close to opacity. I have a little bit of nail line, but it's, you know, very even and smooth and a really just easy coat to apply. The second coat is just as easy and smooth, but it is giving us a little bit of depth of color, a little bit more opacity that does get us, you know, closer to what is in the bottle. You are gonna have to bear with me if I am starting to sound a little fatigued in these swatches. I've been sick for like, I don't know, 2 out of the last 3 weeks, and so just a little bit run down today, but I'm having fun describing these swatches for you all. And next up is ROBBIE, which is described super fun by Zoya as a fizzy raspberry punch with a gold fleck. And I definitely think you can see the fleck in the bottle and also on the nail. This one has a really interesting formula. It is definitely a little bit not quite flaky. You know, it's not flaky like an indie polish, but it is not quite the smooth, shimmery or cream formula that we're used to. You can kind of see the particles of those glitter flakes in here. I didn't find this one, you know, challenging to remove at all, and I do feel like it goes on really smoothly in the first coat. It's a little bit, I don't know how to describe it, almost like stickier, like it doesn't quite flow over the nail, but it also doesn't, you know, run or pool, which is really nice. It kind of stays where you put it, but I think those flakes do make it just a little bit of a different consistency than what I'm used to from Zoya. I definitely did have some nail line on my first coat, some visible nail line, but I did feel like it was pretty even, and so I am definitely going to do a second coat. The second coat, number one, just kind of helps to bring it to opacity, but I really feel like it makes it look almost identical to what you see in the bottle. You get that really punchy kind of raspberry color. You definitely see some buildup of those gold flakes that, especially, you know, when they hit the light, are just super shimmery and really, really pretty. And I hope that Zoya does some other polishes in this finish, because I think it's really nice, and I think a lot of people will really enjoy this as something just a little bit different from the norm. And so you're looking at 2 coats of ROBBIE. Next up is DACEY, and I feel like any summer collection from Zoya is not complete without a pink cream like this one. They describe this one as a classic hot pink cream. They say it's the perfect pedicure color, which I think is probably totally accurate for a lot of people. This one has a pretty great formula. You know, it's pretty similar to Zoya's cream formulas. This one, the first coat for me, was a little bit sheer, so this one's not really a one coater, but it does level out super easily. It doesn't pool or, you know, kind of run to the edges of the nail. I found it really easy to apply. I definitely will want to build this one up in a second coat because I do have a little bit of streakiness, but nothing, you know, too crazy. I think it will be not a problem to build this up in 2 coats. And so as I come in for the second coat, you are seeing that it does get perfectly opaque. This one is just a really nice kind of bubblegum pink. Definitely stay tuned for my comparison video, because I do think that Zoya has several colors that look like this in their collection. And I'm excited to show you, you know, how all of these quote unquote classic pinks compare to one another. This is definitely not the only one in Zoya's collection, but you are looking at 2 coats of the lovely DACEY. Next up is this polish, which I believe is pronounced like Ria. It's a Japanese name. I might be saying that wrong, but it's closer than Ri, I think. And this one is described by Zoya as a cool-toned magnolia purple cream. This is another one that I am so excited to do comparisons of, because it looks like simultaneously really similar to others in Zoya's collection and also really different from others in Zoya's collection. This one, to me, is just a classic Zoya cream formula. It goes on really smoothly. This is not a one coater for me either. This one is just kind of like DACEY, the pink one we looked at, a little bit thinner than some of Zoya's other creams, but again, really easy to apply. It doesn't, you know, run or pool. I did find that the second coat deepened the color quite a bit and brought it a little bit closer to purple. I feel like that first coat almost looks a little bit pink in some of the more sheer spots, and so the second coat definitely deepens that color, gives you more of that really rich purple. I like this one for a summer purple. I think it's a little bit unexpected. I do think Zoya has released several of these kind of warm toned purples, and so again, I'm really excited to compare this one in my upcoming video, but this one is 2 coats of Ria. Next up is the one that I personally was very excited to share with you. This is Walker, and if you didn't know, Walker is my first name, and so I'm so excited that there is a Zoya named Walker. This is a really pretty blue cream. Zoya describes this one particularly as a deep ocean blue cream, and I do think this one has a really interesting formula. It's almost like a jelly, like it's a little bit less opaque than I expected it to be, but you know, on this first coat you can see it's going on really smoothly. It's going on really kind of, yeah, like shiny, almost like a jelly polish. And so I'm definitely going to need to do a second coat, potentially even a third coat, because you can see quite a bit of the nail line here. But I'm coming in for my second coat and it does get a little bit more opaque. It kind of retains that really like juicy, shiny finish, but you can see that it is definitely, you know, getting a bit more opaque on this second coat. I think this one, when I first saw it, I thought it was going to be kind of similar to Porter Miami from Kale Polish, but it doesn't quite have as much, you know, like purple to it. It's definitely a blue, and this one is definitely different from the others in Zoya's collection, so another cream that I'm really excited to compare. And I think after the second coat, I really think I'm done at 2 coats. I don't think I need to do a third coat. You might, but you are looking at 2 coats of Walker. Up next is another blue. I'm so happy there are 2 blues in this collection. This one is ELENI, and it's described as a light seafoam blue cream. And I definitely see the kind of seafoam color here. It is so soft and delicate, but it's really vibrant on the nails. I feel like you can see how vibrant it is even in that first coat. Despite being, you know, a little bit streaky, this one is definitely super vibrant, and I really am excited to see this one build up on, you know, 2 or 3 coats. This one is almost a little bit, I don't know, like gummy, like it's a little bit thicker than I expected it to be, and so it was a little bit more challenging to work with. It doesn't quite, you know, spread out as evenly and as smoothly as some of Zoya's other polishes. You can see that especially on my ring finger. There's just like a really wide streak, and I just was manipulating it too much with my brush. So I think this one would be another really great candidate for the wide brush. It could make application just a little bit smoother. I do feel like this one is not terribly hard to work with given how light of a color it is, and the payoff is really nice. This one is such a stunning color and is so perfect for, you know, warmer, sunnier weather. And so in 2 coats, I did feel like this one got all the way to opacity for me. I do think I did thicker coats because, again, it has that kind of gummier formula. So you are looking at 2 coats of ELENI. Next up is B, and Zoya describes this one as a bright and uplifting pale yellow with warm undertones in their traditional cream formula. And this one I think was pretty eagerly anticipated by Zoya fans. Zoya does not really have a light yellow that is quite this, you know, shade or color in their collection. They have much brighter yellows, and then they have Jacqueline, which is a much more pastel yellow, and so they didn't have one like this, and it is just a really classic color. It's a really lovely color, and so I had really high hopes for it. I do feel like on this first coat, I am getting a little bit of streakiness, a little bit of patchiness, but that's not super surprising to me given, you know, the color of this polish, and yellows are kind of notoriously challenging to work with. This one does not have the same kind of thick gumminess to it that ELENI did. This one is much more like a traditional cream from Zoya. I found it to even out a little bit easier than ELENI did, so I didn't quite have the kind of pooling that I had with ELENI. This one I do think I'm going to need 3 coats though, because I do have some patches that are just not quite even. They're not quite streak free, and so I am going to do a 3rd coat, and I think this one dries a little bit darker than it is in the bottle. It looks just a hair more pastel in the bottle, but especially with 3 coats, I got this one a little bit deeper, a little bit, you know, more vibrant than I had expected it to be from the bottle. I still really like it, and those warm undertones really, really shine through. So I'm really happy with this polish, and I think that other Zoya fans will be as well. And so you're looking at 3 coats of B. Last but not least in this collection, we have Dallas, which is the topper. It's described as having a clear base with silver glitter, large white hexagonal glitter, and small white glitter running throughout it. And they say that this one is a sparkling topper, so I am showing you this one swatched on its own in 1 coat, but I'm also showing you in my swatch photo 1 coat of Dallas over Joey, which I think is a really fun kind of retro combination, so I really like that combination. This one has a really even glitter distribution, which I really appreciate. I didn't feel like I had to fish for those white hexes. They kind of came out just out of the bottle, and so you're looking at 1 coat of Dallas. All right, awesome. So my favorites definitely have to include Walker. If you don't know, Walker is my first name, so this polish feels like my namesake. I also love blue polishes. I love green, I love blue, I love a lot of colors, but blue is definitely one of my favorites to wear, and so Walker has to be in my top picks. This is also just a really lovely blue polish, and so it would probably be in my top even if it wasn't named Walker. And then I also really liked B and Liza from this collection. I really like my solid creams, y'all know that. I think this kind of yellow was missing from Zoya's collection, and so I'm really happy that they did a really nice job with it. It's a great color, it's a great polish, and so I'm really happy with B. I like Liza. It was surprising to me. It was a little bit dustier than I anticipated, and less of a kind of traditional summer pink, and so I'm really happy with both of those as well. And then I was also really pleased with Dallas. This one is super fun, unexpected, different for Zoya, and I really like the kind of mix of glitters in here, and so I thought this one was really interesting, and I'm really glad they included it in this collection. Alright, awesome. Thank you so much for hanging out with me and chatting about nail polish. I would definitely love to hear from you what your favorites are from this collection. Are there any that you are dying to get your hands on? Any that you will pass on? Let me know down below. I can't wait to hear from you. And as always, if you're new here, I hope that you will consider subscribing so that we can sit down and chat about nail polish again sometime. Bye.